Nice, doing this.
My name is Johan. I am a CTO and co-founder of The Things Industries.
Hi, my name is Wienke. I'm a CEO and co-founder of The Things Industries. It's now our 10 years anniversary. It's been quite a journey.
Wienke and I know each other from a co-working space here in Amsterdam. I think we met each other in 2013. There were only, in my memory, 3 co-working spaces. And so I think we never worked in the same place at the same time together, but I joined when Wienke left to another one. And we always kept in touch. We saw each other on drinks and small other events and meetups. I think it was in 2015 that I sent Wienke messages to catch up over coffee. And we talked about coffee. We talked about life, work-life balance. Wienke's girlfriend was pregnant, was due in September 2015 at the time. And Wienke also told about an IoT meetup that he went to where he learned about LoRa, this new technology for connecting things. And so we're just basically brainstorming. But I think what I remember is that we talked a lot about, work-life balance and what we wanted to do and build a scalable SaaS business without having a concrete idea of what that was going to be or what it was going to become.
We come from a cloud software world, where the paradigm of sharing ideas and sharing open source and learning together is very much standard. And LoRa, initiated by the telco world, we first really decided to have like a more cloud approach, a more open approach to using this technology.
But we did have an initial idea to raise a lot of money and to become an operator ourselves, but then more using the technology as an internet technology, more as an operator. And then shortly after, we found out that that was going to be a lot of money. And then we thought of doing it in a crowdsourced way because that also fit the time really well. So I was working remote. I was doing these remote work trips, but we were working together already. And so there is indeed a meetup, an IoT meetup, where you announced the Things Network, that we were on a mission is to build an open, decentralized, crowdsourced IoT network that's owned and operated by its users.
Yeah, so we had this kind of first group of people that wanted to join us, and Johan and I said that we want to build a business indeed in this, but we also want to have an open source side to it. And we asked who wants to join. We got this group of people together, and we wanted to kind of have a very concrete objective. So the objective was to cover the entire city of Amsterdam in a LoRaWAN network. The people on the IoT meetup wanted to join us. They were starting to help out on the technology. You were focused on the back end, and I was focused on convincing 10 companies to buy a LoRaWAN gateway around 1,500 euros and put them on a strategic place in Amsterdam so we could cover the entire city. And I think that whole process took us around 6 weeks or something.
Yeah. We wanted to have a bit of a go, no go moment before September.
Yeah.
And so in August, we had this launch event that was basically our first conference in hindsight, but our big meetup. And then indeed we announced that we had, I think it was like six or 7 gateways.
I think it was around 10.
10, yeah.
Yeah, and also kind of some like the KPMG and Deloitte, and everybody wanted to kind of be part of it. And we also did quite some PR around it. And one of the stories to tell people here in Amsterdam was the utility of this. We created this idea, and this came out of this IoT meetup. And the idea was that you could have a water leak sensor in your boat in Amsterdam. There's a lot of boats here in Amsterdam. And if it would detect water, you would get a message. So you can kind of take action and kind of basically prevent from your boat from sinking down to the bottom of the canals, which is very costly, of course. This was literally the first sensor we created, 3D printed case indeed. And so this was the community, the IoT community in Amsterdam that did it. We tried to make a lot of noise with this kind of project. We launched it in Amsterdam. We also launched a platform where everybody everywhere around the world was able to copy us. So they could take our code, they could take examples, and we created a platform where they could become an initiator of their local The Things network. And that community was growing and growing and growing. And there was a lot of ideas, but they were limited in execution. So what we said is, let's build a Kickstarter and sell a LoRaWAN and IoT gateways and development boards based on Arduino and sell them all around the world. Now, the best way to do that at the time was doing a Kickstarter. So we did everything, the marketing, the fancy Kickstarter video, but also we start to kind of push initial community and test with our initial community, again, the idea. And it was a constant pattern. Like we tested it with the local IoT community. Now we start testing ideas with the global IoT community. We always had this really intense feedback loop with our users. And even now, after 10 years, that has never changed.
First we shipped, I think in 2017, the hardware
Yeah.
Do you want to show what it was?
Yeah. So these are these. So they ended up here. So like this is developer kit, and this was the gateway. That was a big relief.
We got requests from customers indeed to do projects, consulting. We did some presentations, workshops. That was our business model at the time, but also businesses wanted to have a private LoRaWAN network. And so we said, yeah, of course, we will install our version 2 of our stack for your private network. And soon we figured that platform wasn't really intended for
but the first thing we figured out, and again, this pattern is that the market was requesting that.
Yeah.
And we were not chasing kind of like a PowerPoint we promised to a VC 2 years earlier. No, we were kind of like chasing what problems and solving the problems that our customers gave us. And through this kind of corporate contracts, we learned so much. So that was really good. That was really kind of like done and dusted.
Yeah.
It was really through fame and shame.
So we started designing the ThinkStack v3 with some of the key requirements, that it would have a bit more of a standard architecture of a LoRaWAN backend with a network server, application server, joint server, but also multi-tenancy, so that we were able to share infrastructure for multiple users, customers in a shared infrastructure.
In 2018, last week of January, we're going to do an event where we're going to get together and learn from each other and see how we can make it better. Then we had 600 people that signed up. We had to charge money for this, of course. It's like it needs to be true validation. 600 people from, I think, 70 different countries. We had 3 days at the time. That was a crazy event.
Huge success.
Yeah, it was a huge success. And also that gave not only us, but also kind of a lot of people in the ecosystem and in the IoT industry, kind of like a bit of a positive vibe, right? Like it was like, oh, right, like I'm not the only one think that is hard. I'm not the only one that think this has massive potential. We have to push through. That's also what we saw in that year. We landed quite some large global corporate customers. And I think that's the first year that we really got these Fortune 500 customers on board. And although they were also heavy on the consultancy, that just gave us so much insights and lessons on what would be the best way to help our customers. And if you divide the 10 years in 2 times 5, 2020 is a really big cutoff point.
There was a cutoff point. It materialized, but it became a product, a service. We started to operate that. We started to migrate the community network, and also...
but people now know V3 as the ThinkStack Cloud.
V3 is basically the ThinkStack Cloud and the ThinkStack Sandbox, an open source and enterprise. So that's our current product. And we started in 2020 doing also other things like the device repository, packet broker, and other things that we started adding to our offering and to our service. And we always asked ourselves, what would we do with $1 million or with 10 million? And we did ask ourselves that over the last 10 years.
We had 10 million here, what would we do differently?
What would we do? And we didn't have a good answer for it.
We have always listened to customers, and if we can create and help them in a scalable way, we will create a product. And this is where we're heading.
We see that now with this year's conference, where we broaden the scope to not only doing LoRaWAN. And
of course, all the employees even have somebody working for us from the start. Rish, we had some very, very committed engineers like Hilke from the start as well. So too many to mention.
One thing that we can influence is how developers can get started with LoRaWAN, and that they make less mistakes, or that they are successful sooner with our help. I think that's most of the impact and the influence that we have.
Our feet in the dirt and feeling the pain of how hard it is to not only create an IoT solution, but also maintain and run it. We will always be focusing on that, because then we can solve their pain points and can make their life easier.